Unsurprisingly, things are going very well for the San Jose Sharks in the regular season. That has been a consistent theme for this team throughout the entire duration of this series, and now we are here, January of 2027, very much still have a shot at winning a division title as we've hit the midway point of the season. There are some concerns, I would say, as we move forward, but really it's nothing that I don't think this team can't overcome. You know, the fourth line, you talk about, okay, maybe Toni Heinonen, taking him out, bringing in Ratcliffe, of course, who we just have on standby on another ridiculous steal of a contract, much like we had last year. That could certainly be done. Potentially looking for a better defenseman other than Ty Foligno to bring in for the top six, or for the top top four, but he's been very good next to Thomas Shabbat. I mean, he should, in theory, be playing like an 85, so it's not as if he's that bad. Of course, if we were to take out Foligno, we'd probably drop Ariel Hewson, which wouldn't be the worst option in the world. That would actually get us a +3 down in that third pairing. So again, another option we could explore. The big concern at this point in the season is that Henrik Gustafson has not looked Henrik Gustafson-like. He has missed time, of course, this season due to injury, and the hope, excuse me, is that over this next month, heading into February, and of course before the trade deadline, we get a little bit more of an answer in regards to what these problems actually are, if they're problems, and whether or not we need to go out and do something to address it, because, of course, we made it to the Stanley Cup Final last year. We lost, of course, but the goal is pretty simple. Make it right back there. That's all we have to do. Make it back, win a cup, for the love of God, because these teams have been too talented to walk away from this series without winning anything. Now, we've had some series in the past where we've had some ridiculous teams and very little to no success. This team, in this series, it would be one of the worst examples, if not the pinnacle of it. I do not want Nikolai Ehlers, thank you very much. It probably would be the worst example of a team just failing to live up to expectations and failing to live up to the quality that they possessed. You know, you look at all the different versions of the team that we've had in the past, I mean, really throughout the entire duration of the series. We've been competitive, of course, throughout. We've been a playoff team in every year except for one, if I'm not mistaken. It goes without saying at this point what the expectation is and where we should be. Isaac Ratcliffe, 1 point in 3 games. I cannot clear my throat, goddammit. 1 point in 3 games. Subbing in for one Dylan Gambrell, who isn't having a great season. That second line in general right now is not performing at the level that they need to. A bit of their momentum's been stolen by the third line, which has just been tremendous all year. So I don't know if maybe a shakeup's required for that line. Gustafson still rocking an .889 save percentage. I don't know. I mean, we are looking like we're going to be in first place here as long as we beat Colorado heading into February, and we did beat the Avs, so we are indeed in first place, although on the same point pace as the team that was in second. I'm pretty sure it was Anaheim, and it is. But those concerns haven't exactly been alleviated at this point, I would say, and it's probably going to come down to the wire. I think we might take a look at the trade block right now to see what's out there, but Timo Meier, not as good as we need him to be. I mean, yeah, 46 points in 51 games is solid, but when you're playing alongside Tomas Hertl and David Pastrnak, you'd like to see a little bit more. Now, Hertl, over a point a game. That's what I'm hoping for. David Pastrnak, though, I mean, he's there too. 53 points, the 20 goals. Of course, he's not expected to be a goal scorer for us, so I don't think we need to make any changes there. Vitaly Kravtsov, the point total, a little bit lower than what it probably should be. Probably, but he still has 23 goals. He's not the issue. I guess the question is, what the hell's happened to Dylan Gambrell? And what the hell is going on with Cole Sillinger? And whether or not a change is needed there. And the issue is, again, this third line is killing it. They have been phenomenal. Perfetti should easily hit 40 points again. Ellison's been great. Foodie's been great. And even the fourth line's been solid, and of course we talked about it. Noah Gregor is one of the best fourth liners we've ever had in the history of this channel. So in terms of making any changes, I'm looking at a second liner. The problem is, I don't want to bump any of these guys down in the lineup. That wouldn't make any sense. The third and fourth lines are playing well, so if we do anything, it would be using Gambrell or Sillinger and going out and getting somebody who can replace them that can actually put up the points that we need them to put up. Shabbat's been amazing. Ty Foligno, an insurance policy might not be the worst thing in the world. Again, that would put Foligno on the third pairing with Benin. That would drop Houston. If there's somebody better out there, it would make sense, but it's not as if Foligno's been out of place. And Henrik Gustafson, while the save percentage is going up, it's still not great. And of course, right now we have 2 NHL caliber backups. One's in the AHL. I don't think I'd necessarily want to trade for a goaltender. I mean, we can afford it. We have about $8 million in cap space at this point. But goaltending-wise, I feel like we just have to trust who we have. I mean, going out and getting John Gibson in the last year of his deal, honestly, that might not be the worst thing in the world. He hasn't been overly poor, but I'm kind of surprised Anaheim's looking to trade him, unless, I mean, he is their best goaltender. I mean, actually, yeah, they don't want to trade him. That's my mistake. I don't blame him. It is the last year of his deal, though, and actually that would be relatively affordable. Stealing John Gibson from Anaheim would be pretty nice. I don't know. That's a tough call, though. Because like I said, you look at who we have for goaltenders. Eliasson's still been solid. Telkvist, we don't know how good he's going to be at the NHL level. I don't think we can prioritize that. Let's go back to the top of the list. We're, again, looking for a top 6 forward and a top 4 defenseman. Mainly a top pairing defenseman, ideally. And we'll see if anything's out there that kind of fits the bill. Ricard Raquel. No, not with 3 years left. Nobody on Buffalo. Anybody on... Okay, that did switch to Calgary. It just didn't load. That's very weird. Carolina's moving Hamilton and Pesce. I'd love to get Dougie Hamilton, but obviously that doesn't really fit the bill of needing a defensive defenseman. Brett Pesce would, but he doesn't fit any of Joe Thornton's schemes, so that's not going to work out for us. Chicago looking to move Patrick Kane, a 38-year-old who is still doing quite well. No guarantees, though, how he would fit in on the team. So that kind of sucks. Colorado, nobody. Columbus, nobody. Dallas. Esa Lindell, 2 years left. No, thank you. I'd want a pure rental. Edmonton, Tar Hirose. Anybody major here? Matt Dumba. Full value on the trade bar. 2 years left, though. Fits the bill, but, I mean, we'd have to get him on half salary and a full bar worth of trade value. I don't really know how we'd pull that off. We do have Buffalo's first. And then defensively, we could throw... You know, we can throw Houston in the deal. That might actually be possible. So far, at least, Matt Dumba is the best option. But it would require, 50% salary retention. Montreal with nobody, Nashville with nobody, New Jersey with nobody, the Islanders with Anders Lee, but he's got an extra year left. At 36 years old, he has not been good for them. The Rangers, here we go. Got some options. So, Brett Howden. I mean, not with 3 years left. 35-year-old Artemi Panarin would fit in on the team, but that would be more of a Sillinger replacement. I can't help but think Gambrell is the guy to let go of. Both D'Angelo and Fox are more offensive. Not that it would be the worst thing in the world. They don't really fit in on the team either. So, I mean, forward-wise, we're looking at like Howden or Panarin. Just in terms of how big of a replacement they are, though, that's a tough call. Brady Tkachuk is on a ridiculous contract, but he doesn't fit in the top 6, so that's not going to happen. Rangers right now looking like one of the best options. St. Louis, nobody that I'd want. Tampa, nobody. Toronto, nobody. Vancouver, nope. A lot of teams right now are looking to add rather than sell. Shane Gostisbehere has 4 years left, and of course he's more offensive than anything. Winnipeg with Ehlers, Domi, and Connor, but all of them still have quite a bit of term left. I think for now we stick with the team that we have. We'll see what happens closer to the deadline. Once certain trades start rolling in and we see teams are making moves, we will then assume, of course, that teams have updated their trade block and who they're looking to move on from. But I certainly wasn't seeing anybody that's more of a guarantee. I mean, yeah, we could move out Sillinger or Gambrell and hope that whoever we bring in, does well. But moving Sillinger would be rough. To move him out for the sake of bringing in Panarin just because of the massive age difference. It wouldn't exactly be worth it. As we need to sit Christian Folin. See if we can get Strimbu back in on the team. That works for me. As good God. Well, we just found our insurance policy on defense. 3rd overall pick, Pasi Heikkinen, is up to an 82. Maybe it was a good call to let him play in the AHL and actually get some pro hockey experience. So there is the replacement option if we're not happy with the defense. We do have the ability to build or retool from within. So right now, all eyes are on Cole Sillinger and Dylan Gambrell because that's where the pressure is. Defensively, we're good. And you could make the argument in general that Heikkinen should be called up for Houston right now. And you might not be wrong. But forward-wise, it's not as clear of a situation. Because, again, you talk about the type of player, the caliber of player that we'd be moving away from. It's not an easy decision to make, especially if we are weaker on paper as a result. But I think of Fratton on the 4th line, and it's like, well, maybe. What could he do on the 2nd line? And, of course, Isaac Ratcliffe is there. We have some other options. Excuse me. Esa Lindell is on the move. We're going to stop the sim here after that New Jersey game. So we are still atop the division, although the Ducks are on a better point pace. Thomas Shabbat is leading this team. Is there an elite forward that makes sense to acquire if we are done with Gambrell and or Sillinger? Gambrell up to 33 points. Sillinger, not too bad at 35. Very disappointing totals, though, all things considered. Like I said, Isaac Ratcliffe is there. Although he's more of a grinder. Like, he's the perfect kind of fill-in player or to replace Heinonen on the 4th line. There is Francois Valcourt. Really good shooting category. Pretty similar, actually, to Sillinger when we actually started playing him. And then Fratton has 17 goals. Of course, we have him listed as a grinder, and he's still scoring goals, which is amazing. Let's take a look at our options. Again, defensively, I think we're good. Pasi Heikkinen can get the call-up if need be. Goaltending-wise, we're going to run with the 3 goalies that we have. It just makes sense. So is there a high-rated defenseman that a team is looking to shop that we know would fit in well on a lower line? Again, Pesci does not fit. Yanni Kuokkanen, 4th liner. Teuvo Teravainen would be a 4th liner for us, too, in terms of line chemistry. Columbus with nobody. Dallas with nobody. Detroit. Edmonton. No, nothing there. I think the team we have is the team that we're rolling with. I think it is. That might be a mistake. It might not be. Otherwise, the only other option here is Matt Dumba. And it would literally be get him for this year and then flip him at the draft. Matt Dumba is the option. It's either him or we have faith in Pasi Heikkinen. Because forward-wise, I'm not willing to bet on any of the players that I'm seeing thus far, aside from maybe Steven Stamkos, on being better than who we already have. Cal Foot's been brutal. I mean, he probably would fit in well on that top pairing if Dumba doesn't work. Jonathan Marchessault only fits on the top line. Stamkos would fit in on this team. A move for Stamkos and Nolan for Cal Foote might not be the worst option. I saw Noel Gunler and made me think of Nolan Foote. Vancouver, nobody. Vegas, Washington with Gostisbehere, and Winnipeg. We already know they don't fit. So it's either Matt Dumba or Cal Foote, and we also make a play for Steven Stamkos in that top six. I mean, Stammer's still doing very well at his age, and you know how the sim works. To get a legacy player the caliber of Stamkos, they just always seem to do well. It's just, am I willing to bank on Stammer being better than, say, Dylan Gambrell? I like Gambrell a lot. He just hasn't had it this season. And that's a situation where he can't afford to not have it, because this might be our last season with this team. This might be our last chance. He had 70 points last year, 16 of them on the power play. He only has 4 points on the power play this year, 33 points. I mean, what can you really say to that? And then Cole Sillinger hasn't been great either. How desperate am I to make this season the season? That is the question. Just how desperate am I to make this year our year? I wish Jonathan Marchessault fit in a little bit better than he does. If he fit on the second line too, that'd be phenomenal. Gunler doesn't fit in at all. We bring in, I mean, obviously Cal Foote's going to be a little bit more inexpensive compared to Matt Dumba, especially because Dumba's going to require cap retention. That Tampa move. I don't know if I want to. I just don't know if I want to trade Sillinger or Gambrell. I mean, I want to keep them. I want to have faith in them. But this could be the move that gives us a better chance, or this could be the move that absolutely sinks us this year. And I'm not sure which one it would be. I think looking at this team, though, you go Shabbat, Foote, Morrissey, Hanifin, and then probably Benin, Foligno, and then Haken's there if we need him. Although, again, you could very much make the argument that it makes more sense to have Pasi Haken as a defensive D-man. I mean, a two-way works for him for sure. Maybe having Noah Hanifin as a DFD isn't exactly ideal either. How does Foote line up in terms of his defensive abilities? He'd be a better DFD. He would be. How desperate are we to make this work? And can I pull off this trade without giving up Gambrell or Sillinger to just give us all of the options in the goddamn world in terms of who could play on this team to make this happen? That's honestly what I'm thinking. Does it make sense to keep everybody that we have available to us, and then that way we can change things out if we need to? Now, obviously, we stuck with the team last year for the most part in the playoffs, and it worked out very well. It's kind of a tough call. I think Houston could be a part of this trade no matter what, because he'd be replaced. I mean, he's going to be replaced anyway. It's just whether or not Haken's taking his spot or not. And is there anybody else? Lagasse, the legacy, could be moved to, if need be. Yeah, I mean, we have some better up talent than that. How close is that? 3 defensemen for Foote and Stamkos on 50%. Not close enough. But we do have some value. Now, I am a little bit worried. Obviously, with that cap retention, I got to double check what we're at. Shows that we're in the positives. That's because of Houston's cap. So I shouldn't have to play it too safe. by making sure that we move somebody else out. Yeah, there's really nobody else I'd have to worry about. I think I want to pull this off here. I think I do. And in that way, like I said, we have as many possible combinations as we can. I mean, obviously someone's not going to be too happy at being a healthy scratch sooner rather than later. But if I can pull this off, the value's there if they don't have to retain. Now it's just, can we truly get the value into our favor? It's just, we have to stock this up to make them be interested. And there it is. Ariel Houston is gone alongside our 2 weakest defensemen with value and 2 first-round picks. We have acquired Steven Stamkos and Cal Foote to stock up on our chances to win the Stanley Cup this year. Again, we know Foligno and Shabbat work very well together, but now we're going to see what happens when Cal Foote is added into that top 4, and now Steven Stamkos is on this team as well. The question is, Sillinger or Gambrell, who gets sat down because they're just not getting it done? That is the question. So Foligno will be replaced by Cal Foote. And then we go down to Houston's old spot, and Foligno will take his spot in the lineup. Let's go change Cal Foote to a DFD to get that bigger boost. Cap-wise, it looked like we were over, which is something I try to, desperately to avoid. But it looks like that's still going to be a bit of an issue. It would suck if I had to move somebody out to make this happen. But if we do, then it's one of the top 6 players that has to go. It's pretty straightforward as it is. I still just don't know what the hell we're going to do between Gambrell and Sillinger now that we have Steven Stamkos on this team. I mean, we can keep those 2 there and say, hey, whoever ends up with the lower point total, you sit, and Steven Stamkos is in for the playoffs. Although it's a little bit dangerous to sit Stamkos for that long. So taking a look at the new defense, it's a +5 for Shabbat and Foote. And then again, that +3 for Benin and Foligno. I mean, that defense is tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. It's just, what do we do? What do we do with Steven Stamkos? Because again, Isaac Ratcliffe is the perfect fill-in option for the bottom 6. Dylan Gambrell has 33 points. Sillinger with 35. If I have Stamkos replace Gambrell, we're still looking at a +1. Stamkos set up as a playmaker right now. Kravtsov as a sniper. We don't have a power forward on that line. Although we could change Kravtsov to that. Stamkos to a sniper. Stamkos with the best shot accuracy of the group. I think it might be Gambrell that takes a seat, which really sucks. But I think that might be for the best. I think it might be. Let's change Stamkos over to a sniper. Like I said, though, at the very least, the amount of depth now that we have, I mean, we have an 82 overall rookie. An 82 overall 18-year-old rookie in the minors just waiting for a chance, and instead we go out and get Cal Foote, which only makes that situation better. And then, of course, we also add Steven Stamkos. And if Dylan Gambrell and Isaac Ratcliffe are healthy scratches for now, that's an insane situation. I know some people aren't going to be happy with me changing Kravtsov from a sniper to a power forward when he's scoring goals like he does. We'll see how he does through the rest of the year. I mean, as it is, I don't expect that to suddenly stop. It's not as if he can't put up goals as a power forward. He did that before he arrived here when I originally changed him to a sniper. That gets a +3 on that second line. I think that's how we're going to run it. So, Cole Sillinger, 35 points for you, sir. It's time to put up or shut up. You're going to get half the season, and then I think we're going to give Gambrell the other half of the season, potentially, if you're struggling. And we'll see. But those moves are made. Let's do this. This team, again, we gave up Houston, who just wasn't going to make it. He just wasn't. He wasn't improving. Like I said, now we have other defensemen that were worth getting rid of, or that were worth, calling up rather than playing Houston. So it made sense. And we give up 2 of our weaker defensive prospects. Now we are 3-0 so far in the Stamkos era. Let's sim another week. We play Edmonton twice. We beat them 6-2 on March 1st. We beat Tampa. We beat Calgary. And we beat Edmonton. We are undefeated in the Stamkos era. Let's keep it going. No reason to be concerned about anything right now. Gambrell's obviously not going to be happy, but I don't care. We need results. We lose for the first time. We lose to the Islanders before beating Columbus in a bounce-back win. So we're up to 46 victories on the season. We are 2 points clear with a game at hand on the Ducks, and we are back in the playoffs again, to the surprise of absolutely nobody. I want to take a look here. Stammer's down an overall point. Actually not sure. How well has he done since joining us? 8 points in 9 games. He had 47 in 60. So very good from him. Cole Sillinger from 35 points to 42 in that time. Vitaly Kravtsov, 34 goals. So it looks to be working, is all I can say. And then again, Sillinger, Stamkos, Kravtsov. It's not too bad. Matt Benin, 33 points actually. I was thinking maybe we should pull him off the power play, but he's doing well. He's doing very well. Gustafson, under an 895. If Henrik Gustafson can get it together, this team is such a well-oiled machine with so much depth that it can't possibly not go our way, which means it probably won't this year. But still, we lose to Dallas. We beat Chicago. 10 games left in the season. We lose to Montreal. Still battling to secure yet another division title as we beat the Yotes. We play Carolina the next day. Get a 7-2 win as Per Hoagland is back from injury. For the AHL side of things, take out one Christian Folan and bring in the Hilger. Beautiful. We play Vancouver. Big game against the Canucks, we lose. A big game against Vegas, we win. And a game against Dallas, a 6-5 loss. So with 4 games left, we stand 3 points clear of the Vegas Golden Knights for the top spot in this division. Obviously, there may be some concerns over us securing a division title because we finally didn't last year, and look at what happened. But right now, it's looking likely. The Knights 1 point back, although we have a game in hand. We take on a very weak Kings team, and we win in the shootouts. Does not yet secure the division title, as again, we have a game in hand on Vegas still, but we are a point ahead. Can we beat an out of the playoffs Nashville team? No, we can't. It's going to come down to the wire. If you don't want us to win the division title, don't worry, it's looking like we might not, although Vegas loses. A win here against St. Louis secures another division title for the Sharks. Strimbu is healthy in the AHL, and the San Jose Sharks are the best team in the West. 108 points. Washington's going to win the President's Trophy, however, but we are the top team in the Western Conference, and we will be taking on the Edmonton Oilers in round 1 of the playoffs. You knew we'd be back. It's just a matter of where we were going to be in the standings. We are the best team in the West yet again. Timo Meier, now 30 years old, ultimately finishes with a 78-point season. Disappointing for what he had done in the prior 2 years, but still scored 33 goals, so he needs to step it up in the playoffs, though. That's for sure. Tomas Hertl, 79 points in a full 82-game season. A bit down from what he did last year, but all in all, I can't really complain. It's still solid for him. Very solid. 50 assists on the year. And then David Pastrnak also broke the 30-goal mark. He had 86 points. He actually improved upon what he did last year. But again, that magical season from a few years ago that ended short anyway. Pretty ridiculous. Vitaly Kravtsov, 39 goals, down from the 54 he had last year, just 64 points, although he had nearly the same amount of power play points. It's actually kind of ridiculous, and more goals on the power play, so that second line just didn't click as well. Steven Stamkos, 17 points in 21 games. We're going to have to make the call of who plays and where. Cole Sillinger, of course, had 35 points. He finishes the season with 52 alongside Stammer. I think he's earned the right to stay. I mean, Dylan Gambrell, like we talked about, just 33 points in 58 games. I don't think it makes sense to play the likes of Gambrell. I mean, Gambrell on the third line, maybe, but there's no point in breaking up this third line. They were phenomenal. Cole Perfetti, 3 straight 40-point seasons on that third line. He's fantastic. Back-to-back 23-goal seasons. Connor Ellison, 47 points, 25 goals, a new career high at the NHL level. And then Jean-Luc Foudy, 41 points on the year. That third line is untouchable. They did that without power play time as well. That third line's untouchable. So that's why a decision has to be made over who plays on that second line. And then the fourth line, I know Tony Heinonen wasn't the most popular player, especially when Ratcliffe's available, but he's still really solid, and he hasn't been a detriment defensively. He doesn't take a ton of penalty minutes either. Noah Gregor, I mean, again, my love for reliable two-ways who can score, it's well established. You know, you look back at like the Montreal series with Philip Deneau, my favorite Hab. And that legacy continues. Willie Fratton at 21 goals, 28 points on the fourth line without power play time. Tremendous. I don't think we have to change anything. It's just who plays on the second line. And then defensively, Thomas Shabbat. Thomas frickin' Shabbat. The first year without Erik Karlsson, he assumes the mantle of Batman. And, yeah, just as... I want to say just as good as Erik Karlsson, but he makes it easier, and we don't have to miss him as much. Cal Foote, 9 points in 21 games, a +1 rating, so you could argue that Foligno's the better guy to have on that top unit. Keep Cal Foote in on the third pairing with Matt Benin. I don't think that's necessarily a bad idea. Now, the good thing is our second pairing this year was phenomenal. Noah Hannafin, a +40, 24 points. Josh Morrissey with 44 points and a +36. So that's set. It's just, what are we doing here? Who plays where? And again, I'm not against having Ty Foligno be back on that top pairing because he was great this season. +38, 19 points. Matt Benin with 36 points and a +9. I believe 36 points. Yeah, that's well above what he's had in the past. So goaltending-wise, Eliasson, solid. Gustafson, we have questions heading into the playoffs. No doubt about it. We have questions heading into the postseason. And then again, AHL-wise, if there's a change that needs to be made on defense, Passy Aiken's there. And I cannot wait to see what he can do. I mean, like I said, we have some pretty good depth. Telkvist down in the AHL in 904 is okay. Apparently he didn't play that much unless it's already switched over to playoff stats. Which perhaps it has. I can't say with certainty. So, team stats on the year. Again, we win the Pacific. Vegas takes on Anaheim. Vancouver goes over to the central side of the bracket while we'll be playing the Oilers. In the central, it is, of course, Chicago, Vancouver, Colorado, and Dallas. In the Atlantic, you have Montreal, Boston, Detroit, Florida, and Buffalo all making it. Montreal will be playing Florida, Boston playing Detroit, Buffalo will be playing the Washington Capitals, Philly plays New Jersey. So around the league, we were the second best team in the NHL. Not surprising. Goals for per game, the fourth highest behind 3 other Pacific Division teams. That's why we needed to win the cup last year, because making it beyond this murderer's row right here is easier said than done. Goals against average was bottom 5 in the league despite our starters' struggles. Our power play percentage was at 25%, which was tied for top 5 in the league. Edmonton, though, the best power play. Their penalty kill at 79%. Ours was at 74%. So third worst penalty kill in the league. We're going to have to look at changing that up, which honestly, it doesn't surprise me, given what happened last year, where, in the playoffs at times, our penalty kill was absolutely abysmal. So we have a decision to make as far as who's on that top D pairing with Thomas Shabbat, who is on the second line, And we will have to take a look at changing up the penalty kill. Jesus, Mary, and Hossa. It's all Pacific Division, man. And here, before anyone asks, it's all Pacific Division. Sidney Crosby is insane. This is not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination. This is going to be very tough. There are very good players that we're going to have to shut down and make it past to get the job done. By the way, only 17 of Shabbat's points are on the power play. That is absolutely insane. Oh, man. I want to be confident in this team, but you never quite know what you're going to get out of a Sharks playoff team. You never quite know what version of this team is going to show up. We have some questions to answer about our lineup, but for the most part, we're good to go. San Jose and Edmonton, round 1 of the playoffs in what could be our last shot before this series ends.